All right, let's get to it. Hamas says it agreed to a ceasefire deal.
To the latest on the push for a ceasefire in Gaza. Hamas has announced that it has agreed to a ceasefire proposal, but Israel says there is no deal yet as it ramps up attacks on Rafah. We'll get the reaction from the White House, but first, Marcus Moore is on the ground for us there in Israel. Good morning to you, Marcus.
Robin, good morning. We are at Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, where memorials pay homage to those being held captive in the midst of this war. And while the IDF says their latest operation in Rafah overnight is limited in scale, the relatives of some of those held hostage fear what the outcome could mean for their loved ones. Overnight, Israel launched a ground operation in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. The IDF saying it killed 20 members of Hamas and found 3 operational tunnel shafts. And they have taken control of
the human shield propaganda obviously is only a justification in the minds of Hasbara bots that think that, this allows Israel to murk as many Palestinian civilians as possible and then try to shift the blame over to Hamas. It's like, yeah, dude, why aren't they out there fighting in a fucking open battle like it's the goddamn Roman legionnaires or some shit, okay? Why aren't they out there in a field so that the Israeli fucking Air Force can just line them up and then just laser them, dude? I can't believe it. Why are they out there fighting where Israel is blowing their shit up? I don't know. Perhaps the real question you should be asking yourself is like, if these guys are taking the civilians hostage, which they're not, if they are doing that, why the fuck are you shooting through the hostage? This is why I said time and time again, it doesn't even fucking matter. Like when people say like, oh, if Israel, if all of the Israeli Jews were actually like trapped in a school, would Israel blow it up? And I told you, like, yes, they would. That's why they've killed, almost 100 fucking hostages so far that are Israeli.
Critical Rafah crossing. This morning, videos show Israeli flags now flying on the Palestinian side of the border. This as Hamas says they are willing to accept a new ceasefire proposal. The deal, a different agreement than one proposed by Israel, includes a permanent end of military operations and the withdrawal of Israeli forces from areas adjacent to the border inside Gaza. Israel now reviewing the plan, but has yet to agree to these terms. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying Hamas's counteroffer is
like every single thing that Israel has said so far in why it's conducting its military operation since October 7 has been objectively and demonstrably a lie. I've been telling you that it's a lie, but obviously as far as like when tensions were high and people were very passionate and people saw the atrocities on October 7 and immediately were like, what the fuck are you saying? How dare you say such things? You are a conspiracy theorist. The problem was I was right, but too fucking early to the conversation. Okay? The only reason why so many people were shocked about the things that I was saying about how like Israel doesn't give a shit about the hostages. They are just simply in it to do ethnic cleansing. And Israel does not give a shit about like eradicating Hamas. They're just using that as a reason as to why they're doing ethnic cleansing in the Gaza Strip. The reason as to why I was able to be so fucking so ahead of time, like the reason why I was able to fucking be prophetic in that regard, and many other pro-Palestinian activists were prophetic in that regard, is because we know how Israel has operated for 75 fucking years. That's it. It's not like I was predicting the future. I was just looking at the past. But of course, people who personally were just tuning in on October 7 and thought the history started on October 7 would look at that kind of shit and go, the hostage posters are for propaganda purposes? That's disgusting. You're actually disgusting, Hasan. I can't believe you would say such a thing. These guys just simply care about the hostages. Really? Is that why the fucking hostage posters play a very different propagandizing role inside of Israel than it does in fucking Brooklyn? Where in Brooklyn, the people posting those are saying like bomb, bomb, bomb Gaza and kill them all. Whereas the people in Israel are fucking posting the posters to be like, hey, government, these are your fucking people that are trapped inside of Gaza. Get a ceasefire going so we can take them out. Just remember that.
Quote, far from Israel's core demands, which included a 6-week ceasefire and releasing some Palestinian prisoners for up to 33 hostages. Despite the uncertainty, crowds in Gaza celebrating Hamas's announcement. While in Tel Aviv today, relatives of hostages demonstrated in front of the U.S. consulate, demanding the Israeli government accept the deal. Do you worry that this operation in Rafah will affect the efforts to release the hostages?
Yes, I'm afraid that they will all be dead.
The family of Hirsch Goldberg Poland, who's been held hostage by Hamas since October 7th, speaking with us this morning.
It's been 214 days. We need to be reunited with our loved ones. We're not going to solve everything in the Middle East right now today. Let's get our loved ones out. Let's bring a calm to the region.
It is apparent this morning that both Israel and Hamas are open to negotiating a prisoner exchange, but the exact details, how many people and when, is where the gaps have been. Now, delegations from all sides will head back to Cairo to continue talking soon. But George.
Yeah, ISIS is the Yazidi genocide. Even though around 5,000 died, it's an internationally recognized genocide by everyone. Srebrenica was 8,000, I believe. That's also another internationally recognized genocide. Like, genocides and the genocide classification was specifically created so we stop a genocide before it gets to the fucking 6 million Jews point. Okay? A lot of people think like, no, we only litigate genocides after the fact. That's not how this goes, bro. There's no fucking like high score. The whole point is the reason for that classification to exist is specifically so we stop it from occurring, from finishing, rather. Okay, that's the whole issue here. You look at genocidal intent and you look at genocidal action. Israel has both of it. We're the whole point right now is to stop the ongoing genocide. It's not about like looking back after the fact and being like, oopsie, I guess a genocide happened. Like that kind of fucking ruins the whole point, right? Why do we even look at history if we're not going to learn any lessons? You've chatted like 7 times in the past 2 days, and every single chat has been either rage bait or you being a dumb motherfucker. Any last words? Or Turkey's genocide of Armenians. The reason why I didn't bring up the Armenian genocide is because the numbers are actually much higher than the Yazidi one. And that's the reason why I didn't bring it up, because Turkey did hit a fucking high score in that one. So that's the reason why I didn't bring it up, dumb fuck. Not because I secretly deny it or some shit. Let's continue.
Egyptian authorities are warning that the current operation in Rafah, they say, threatens the efforts to reach a ceasefire agreement.
That is a complication. Okay, Marcus, thanks very much. Let's bring in our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce. Mary, the White House in the thick of these negotiations.
They certainly are, George. Look, the Biden administration is heavily invested in these talks, which they see as the best way to ease the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza and also diffuse this crisis abroad, but also here at home as the president continues to face growing political pressure and these protests. Now, the talks for now continue. The White House clearly hopes that a deal here is still possible, but the back and forth of the last 24 hours certainly just goes to show how volatile and fluid this situation still is, and all of this coming as the U.S. continues to urgently warn Israel not to invade Rafah. The president reiterating that message directly in his 30-minute phone call with Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday. The White House deeply concerned that an operation like this would only exacerbate the humanitarian crisis. But so far, Netanyahu doesn't seem to be heeding Biden and the U.S.'s warning. So the big question then, what comes?
So shocking. Why is that the case? I don't
next,
understand.
How would this administration respond? I have asked the White House if they would limit or condition aid to Israel. Their response, George, let's see what happens.
Mary Bruce, thanks.